For us, a Moko Jumbie is more than just being a stilt walker, because the story we base Moko Jumbie on is the African spirit that actually walked across the Atlantic following the slave ships. So Moko Jumbie is actually a very important thing, because we carry all of that history. Every time we get on stick, put on a costume, we carry that history. So any performance we do, or even when we're training, we take it very, very seriously, because we just try and expand that. We take on board, if you like, the spiritual aspect big time of that. So especially if you're walking in the Caribbean, that's a very, very strong thing. And we've now kind of brought this back, if you like, back across to the UK. So when we're walking the streets here, again, we're still carrying that history, and even how you behave on stick, it alters how you behave, it alters how you interact with people, because you're very conscious of that story, that you're carrying the, if you like, the original spirit which did cross the Atlantic. So all of that is very important to us. And that is it's a beautiful thing when we're on stick and performing, and just being able to give that joy to people, which Marshall's really good at as well.
Yeah, I feel like being on stilts is like a way of just being free and being yourself and just kind of expressing yourself while you're on the sticks. But I feel like when the people come up to you, you kind of like, you give them a bit of joy as well, because when they see you, their faces just instantly light up, like, how are they doing this, like mysterious sort of thing. So
Carnival's important. I mean, for one, it's almost like a big release of energy. It's a build-up of lots of energy and tension, and a big release when you're actually performing and doing the stuff. It's this great, wonderful thing of joy and coming together. I mean, I love playing with the Carnival band, and it's just such a lovely, big, happy family, everybody looking out for each other and just having that explosion of joy. And then we pass that on to the spectators, obviously, who can join in that way. It's actually important also I find it very important, because walking even around the streets of Notting Hill I find very important, because we can actually feel the history of all of the former immigrant communities who came to live here, from way back in the 50s, the West Indian community, and there's lots of famous novels around that we are respecting them. We're saying this history is very important, and we're building on it.
Carnival is important just because it brings different cultures together and different aspects of joy, and just like a lot of freedom. A lot of people are just there to kind of like have fun and release a lot of positive energy.
As a Moko Jumbie, we're part of a very long tradition of what we call traditional masquerade. So it's, if you like, it's a slightly different thing to feather and bead, kind of just a party carnival. And there's a lot of traditional characters a lot will originate from the West Indies, like bookmen or blue devils, and Moko Jumbie is one of those traditional characters. And each one has its own history. And I think that those traditional roots, the traditional masqueraders, are very strong, and that's actually a very important thing for us, because each character will derive from something different. It will have slightly a different meaning. So if you like, the traditional characters we also represent something, as well as just being there for the fun of it. So it's almost like a very spiritual thing which takes over us.